everybody, what's going on? Welcome to Under the Arch Sports. I'm Eric Hobbs.
And I'm David Boldigan.
And it's time for us to preview Mizzou's homecoming game against the South Carolina Gamecocks. But first, please, guys, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel and find us on Facebook, on Instagram, and on X. And, my dogs, Herbie and Truman, yes, named after Herbie Husker, like the wife, and Truman the tiger. They're laying right here. So, we may have a guest appearance if any of them decides to move or wake up or twitch or anything. Now, David, with Missouri coming off a resounding but not 100% satisfying win over Kentucky, there's a lot of different ways you can look at how they're going to approach this game.
Yeah, they had, to say the least, a less than stellar first quarter. I know they won convincingly after that, so there's two different ways you can look at it. They might come out thinking we got this game in the bag. However, I think it's going to be the other way personally, whereas we really struggled that first quarter. We better be ready for South Carolina because they could bring anything.
Yeah, and Carolina is going to be very motivated for two reasons. One, it's always fun to ruin somebody's homecoming. That's what Missouri did to Kentucky. I'm sure they use that as motivation. Carolina will surely be using it this week. You also you can look at last year's game, and it's similar. Last year, South Carolina, pretty good win, enters the top 25. Missouri comes to town and really just kind of beats them up and down the field in a game that felt a lot worse than the 23-10 final score. Carolina's going to try to do the same thing to Missouri in this game. Let's be honest. They would love to. They're right now, they got to get every win they possibly can. They're sitting at 2-4. Bowl eligibility is not guaranteed. So they got a lot in front of them, a lot to fight for. There's the off chance that they look at injuries and everything else, and maybe they fold, and we'll talk about the injuries here in a second. But again, that I feel like that's less common in college athletes these days, to just kind of, well, things are not going our way, I guess, and kind of pack it in.
Well, and that 2-4 is very deceiving.
Yes.
They lost to Georgia 6-0, North Carolina, who's 6-0, Tennessee, who's 5-1, and now Florida, who's 5-2. So combined total of teams they played had 3 losses. So, I mean, it's kind of like a Jekyll and Hyde type situation where the other 2 games were Mississippi State and Furman that they won. So I feel like this is a very deceiving record that they have, and they're still a quality team.
Yeah, I won't argue that at all. You don't know what they got. One thing that we know, injuries. Carolina has a lot of them. We'll start with them. So you're looking at Stone Blanton, who is one of their starting linebackers. He is questionable for this game after getting a thigh bruise against Florida. Left that game questionable. Doubtful is Rashawn Lee, one of their linemen, their most experienced linemen. He's made some starts at center and at right tackle. Yeah, he went down with a knee injury. Doubtful for the Mizzou game. That's a unit we're going to talk about. South Carolina's offensive line and their struggles. Injuries are a big part why. Lee's down. They've already lost 3 guys since the beginning of fall camp to season-ending injuries. So for them, it's just kind of almost who's left to be able to play, which, hey, 2012 Mizzou's kind of what it reminds me of. Just they're banged up on the O-line. For Missouri, Chad Bailey's out. And then you got a couple of guys who are questionable, David. Cody Schrader and then Ennis Rakestraw with his groin. It might be tempting to see if you think you need them to win. Schrader, I think, being more important than Rakestraw. That's my opinion anyway. But with a nagging groin injury, getting a lot of extra rest with the bye week next week, it'd be tempting to sit him.
Yeah, and they got by within us last week too. So I mean, they could easily sit in us for, I guess it would be 3 weeks if he doesn't play this week.
Yeah.
Um, you have on the offensive side of the ball, you have Xavier Legette is really your main wide receiver threat, and you could put um, Dorio
Abrams
um,
drain.
Abrams Drain. Thank you. I was drawing a blank. You can put him on him, and then just let the others shake out where they go. And that's one way to combat that because there's not a real major threat after him, mainly because their number one receiver, Juice Wells, went down in the Georgia game.
Yeah.
Another injury for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Just very banged up Carolina team. Part of why they are where they are. But yeah, Juice Wells, their biggest threat. He's on the mend, not looking to play for this game. Yeah, Xavier Legette. He's 6'3", 227. So he's 700 some odd yards receiving. So pretty reliable guy. He's got the size to just kind of power through a contested ball. He can break some tackles with his size. So that's something that Abrams, Drainer, whoever is matched up with him will, they're going to have to bring their A game because he is the guy to really catch the ball when Spencer Rattler is slinging it back there. And Rattler, this Carolina offense is going to begin and end with Spencer Rattler. I think we all know that. Very capable, as we've all seen. Also very capable of just kind of imploding. Hasn't happened as much this year. If he can stay upright, he's dangerous.
Yeah, he's thrown for 1,724 yards, 11 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. The biggest issue right now, I think, with him would be the offensive line. Can they hold up and give him the time he needs? Or can he move around the pocket and give himself the space he needs to make plays, whether it's throwing or running the ball? He has been.
20? Go ahead.
I was gonna say he has been sacked 24 times this year,
Yeah.
so it is possible to get to him, and some of that is he's just holding on to the ball too long. And again, some of that might be he just has nobody to throw to because the coverages are so good against him.
Yeah, 24 times being sacked. He's got to stay upright for Carolina to have a chance. If I were Carolina's offensive coordinator, I'd have a lot of plays designed to move the pocket or just have him rolling out a bunch just to get him in space where he's dangerous, both running and throwing, and to just kind of take into account, the struggles that their line's having. So I think Blake Baker should be ready for something like that. We'll see what they end up going with, but otherwise, reigning SEC Defensive Player of the Week, Darius Robinson, could have another game where he goes nuts. Johnny Walker, they may have plenty of opportunities to get some hits on Rattler.
Yeah, and you're talking about a Mizzou defense who likes to blitz a lot. So as long as the DNs can play some type of contain and try to keep them in the pocket, I think Rattler's going to have a rough day.
Yeah. What we expect to have a rough day is Carolina's defense. Just statistically speaking, in SEC play, they give up 450 some odd yards per game. That's just where they are. I think that's what you expect, especially if Brady Cook can, get back to form, and if Luther Burden is more than invisible, which, credit Kentucky for taking him away, but I don't expect South Carolina to hold Luther Burden to 3 touches and 21 yards.
But at the same time, credit Brady Cook to finding Theo Weiss and his other guys, including Brett Norfleet, by spreading the ball to them and making them look dangerous. Now you got to not only think about Burden, but you got to think about the other guys too, because he can hit you in a number of different ways by spreading that ball around.
Yeah, and I think what really helped the offense for the most part was the offensive line was cleaner. We'll go with that. Uh, uh, yeah, Cam Johnson's still he's good for one or two penalties. You have to accept that. At this point, I think you have to accept that Tollison is gonna be good for one mind-numbing mistake per game, whether it be a snap infraction. Well, we've talked about that, or the high snap that set up the fake punt touchdown. Those are mistakes that, while he's improving, he's still making one terrible mistake per game, it feels like.
Yeah. Most notably against Kentucky was that high snap that cost Cook a chance on what was it, a third down, I think it was.
Third and 4, I think it
Yeah.
was.
And it may have been a designed run. I had no idea. The ball was so high, he just had to like knock it down and fall on it.
Oh, yeah.
And those are drive killers. But to Mizzou's credit, like you said, they cut it down to like 6 penalty infractions, something like that. So they are getting better, and if they continue to clean that up, I mean, the offense only has an upside if they continue to work on these things.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, look, Mizzou hasn't played a complete game on either side of the ball yet, and kind of awesome to think about, kind of scary to think about how good this team would be if they play a full game, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, this is a Carolina defense where I expect Missouri to have a pretty clean game offensively. Defensively, Carolina is capable. They lost to Florida, but they put up 39 points. 2 of them on safety, but so the offense scored 37. They scored 37 against Mississippi State. They are capable. It's a matter of, can they keep up with Missouri, and can either defense get a stop? Now, talking about this, moving right into predictions here. Yeah, it's all about outscoring each other, and can a defense get a stop? Missouri's going to get a couple stops. Carolina, I don't know. Missouri's going to have a great day offensively. They're going to explode. They're going to beat Carolina. I've got it 42-31.
Yeah, and I expect the D line to pick up right where they left off for the last 3 quarters of that Kentucky game. To me, it looked like they made adjustments. They figured out something. They're able to play contain. If you can contain Rattler back there, especially with all the injuries on South Carolina's line, I think they'll have a dominating game. I'm going to go with the good old-fashioned pick here, reminiscent of the 20 years ago game of Mizzou, Nebraska, and was it 2003, I believe it was?
Yeah.
So 41-24 is what I think Mizzou's going to win by. But anyway, some other exciting news. There might be possible recruiting news coming up in the next week or so. So keep an eye on that.
St. Louis specific, wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
With the bye week coming up as well, so we might have some other videos coming out based on that. Guys, it's an exciting time to watch Mizzou football, and we're going to enjoy every bit of it. So continue to keep watching Under Our Sports, and we'll keep you updated on all things Mizzou.